What's up, Saints and Aints? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. And on this episode, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Ghostface Killah's Supreme Clientele. On the makeup, I'm trying Jaleesa Jaikaran's Toasted Makeup Technique using the Juvia's Place Cream Bronzer. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. I got the concealer on my eyes. I kind of let it dry down just a little bit. I'm going to start with a powder foundation to kind of build out my crease. I'm using this MAC Studio Fix in the shade NW55. So I'm just going to use a fluffy brush here and just put it just here in this transition space. My favorite Ghostface album, Supreme Clientele, turned 25 this week. I'm sick because I was so busy ripping and running this weekend that I did not make a post on Instagram to honor this masterpiece, but we are going to make up for it today. I'm going to use this Juvia's Place Culture 2 palette. I just needed something that had like a lot of colors in it, and this was it. I'm feeling something kind of pink because we coming up on Valentine's Day, so I'm going to go in here in my crease with this shade called Yanga, and put this here in my crease. I remember very clearly when this album was released, I had one of my friends give me a ride up to this record store called Manifest in West Ashley, this part of Charleston. And I was a big fan of Iron Man. That came out like my senior year of high school. So if you got in a car with me, we were either listening to Iron Man or Soul Survivor. So to say I was like anticipating the release of this album is a real understatement. Now I'm going to go in with a darker color on top of my lid. I am going to use, this is Bentu right here, and it is a darker pink, and I'm just gonna put that on top of my lid. I'm just taking this and packing it on the lid. I have hooded eyes, so I have to kind of make a space. All right, so now I'm gonna go in and blend this out with that lighter color that we had. Ghostface is one of my favorite rappers because he has such a descriptive writing style. Every line that he writes feels exactly like you're in a movie. He's also an amazing storyteller, which is not a skill that a lot of artists have. I've always said it's one thing to be able to like have like some really hot lines, but to be able to put all those together and to paint a picture, to tell us a story, to put us in the moment that you're rhyming about takes another level of skill, and Ghostface has really mastered that. Now I'm going to go in and kind of deepen and give some dimension using this shade here called Dashiki right here. It's like a burgundy shade, and I'm just going to put that in my crease. I'm just going to blend this in. Supreme Clientele is an album that I always listen to in sequential order because it's almost like a movie. The album opens and closes with the Iron Man theme, and then in between they have all these well-placed skits that really give it like a well put together movie type vibe. I'm going to add a little shimmer using the shade Bantu here. It's a pink. I like to wet my brush before applying shimmer. I find it picks up a lot better just to kind of get it a little damp. Now that the eyeshadow is done, let's get into some of my favorite songs from Supreme Clientele. I'm going to prime my skin using the NYX Face Glue Primer. I got a new one, y'all. And I'm going to go behind that with the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder in the shade 9.5. That Bay feature in the RZA is the perfect opener to this album, to me. However, this is where I learned a lesson on how to pick music when I'm introducing someone to an artist that they might not be familiar with. Now, Ghost is a super descriptive rapper, and on this song is a clear example of that. Meg is really like a lot of like fire one-liners lined up into a verse. Is there any clear direction and structure and like really true meaning to this? Not really. I haven't found one in my time. It's just him saying a bunch of fly shit. We did get a lot of little quotables. I mean, things that were quotable to me that I remember a lot of us like repeating over the time. Cap came to me with 3 sawed-offs, give one to Rayla, season they broth. That was one. I like All Hail to My Hands, 50,000 appraisal. Another one, this is inappropriate, but you know, he said Dick made the cover, now count how many veins on it. What did that even mean? But I'm just saying, it was just like these random things, but I mean they sounded fly. I felt like we were just going on a journey through Ghost's mind at the time. Also another one, you should be studying your arts instead of studying me. That's a good one too. Testament to minding your business. You know, I like anything surrounding telling people to mind their business. I'm going to do some spot concealing using the Fenty Beauty Wear Even concealer in the shade 480N. And I'm going to use the Sephora Pro 71 concealer brush to go around. So another song that I like from off of here is playing now. One is also a lot like Nutmeg. It has a lot of descriptive one-liners, and the song really isn't about any particular thing. And the mistake that I made is those are the two songs that I turned on to introduce people to Ghost. So when they heard it, it was just like, girl, this man is just saying a bunch of gibberish. None of this makes sense. And you know, you lose people in the first two songs. There are other songs I probably should have started with if I was trying to push his lyricism and then double back to this at the end, because I lost a lot of folks with these first two songs. But to me, these were songs that I like. Also, I think if you have never spent any time around a 5%er, a lot of what he says won't make sense to you too. So you'll be lost in that respect, because for me it wasn't until I spent a little bit of time around a 5%er that I was able to comprehend what was being said a lot more. But that was a lesson. You gotta really think about your audience when you're introducing people to music that they're not, to an artist that they're not familiar with. Say what you will about this song, the beat was really infectious and I like the hook. The devil planted fear inside the black babies, 50-cent sodas in the hood, we gone crazy, dead meat placed on the shelves, we eat cold cuts fast from the hog, y'all, and grow up. So now that I have my concealer down, I'm gonna use the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint in the shade 14. This is some of my favorite. I think I have defected from foundation because this has become like my new favorite. And I apply with a brush and then I buff it out after that. So another song that I like from off of here was Apollo Kids. And I'm sure everyone remembers this because this was like a really big single from off of this album, and the video is like forever burned into my mind. Now during that time we didn't have cable in our dorm rooms, so there really wasn't a way to like watch music videos. We didn't have MTV, there was no YouTube or streaming. You had to wait till you got around a TV with some cable on it, and you would just pray that when you tuned into Rhapsody or when you tuned into MTV that it just happened to be playing. The way that I was able to get the video, I mentioned earlier that there was a record store called Manifest that I used to go to in West Ashley. So they would have promotional materials like free posters, sometimes free singles, not all the time. But they had this VHS tape and it had 3 videos that went with this album. It was Mighty Healthy, Apollo Kids, and then there was a third song on there that never made it to the album, but they did make a video for it. I cannot think of the name of it for the life of me. But those 3 songs were on there as like a preview to the album. In that video, you know, Ghost really leaned into his Tony Stark's persona. The video was a depiction of Stark's Enterprises, and it's a factory where they customize wallabies, and Ghost is walking through in this tough-ass blue robe. And y'all know that's his signature, is these large, luxurious bathrobes. But yeah, this was another one that had a real catchy hook. The rap is like ZD. And a lot of folks made fun of that hook and was like, oh, what is he talking about? But I mean, you think about it, this rap is good for you. It's gonna stick to you. It's fulfilling. Went over a lot of people's heads. But for the most part, I feel like this was one of the real popular songs on this album. I'm going to apply my bronzer using Jaleesa Jaikaran's Toasted Makeup Technique using the Juvia's Place Cream Bronzer. So in her video, she said that there's 2 components. When you're applying the bronzer, you're going to do it around your forehead, blending into the hairline, and when you bring your brows around the eye, it should go no further than the middle of your eye to keep everything from looking muddy. So those are the 2 things and the first step that we need to remember. And then I'm just using this angled brush from my Danessa Myricks My Kitco collection. So Mighty Healthy is another song from off of this album that I love. So the intro to this song is like really legend in itself, and the scratches and the lack of a hook made it feel like we were just listening to Ghost freestyle. The verse that really got me up out of my seat was priceless ropes lay around the god get tangled, woolly hair, eyes fiery red, feet made of brass, 12 men following me, it be the God's staff. I love that. I love that he put that in a verse. Now, it isn't a song, but the Woodrow skit did go triple platinum around here. I do not know one person that did not laugh when they heard this. And God knows me and my friends had this thing memorized like front to back, honey. Y'all niggas supposed to be Big Willie. You're acting a little silly. This shit was funny. All right, so now we got the bronzer laid. Looks toasted, not burnt, like she says. Now I'm going to go in and brighten my under eye using the Fenty Beauty We're Even concealer. This is shade 410W. We Made It was another one that I kept in rotation back in the day. This is probably one of my second favorite songs on here. Superb had a really good verse on this as well. This was another one too that had super descriptive bars, but everything was really flowing together. And like the verse that goes, posted up truck, leaning on the Biz Cinemax smile, shot in 35 lens, your program. Broke bottles of Dom, 7-inch bangles, backbreaker. I'm a dope fiend. Look at my arms, Popeye strength. All that was going together. Like, check me out leaning on the Benz with this real photogenic smile. Got my jewelry on. It was him setting the scene. I'm going to set my under eye using Pat McGrath pressed powder. I'm just going to take a little bit of my Huda Beauty setting powder. Just a little bit, and bake the under eye. So Malcolm is one of my favorite songs on this album. Whenever I talk about Ghost's ability to really paint a picture with his lyrics, this is one of the songs that I point to. And he draws us into this story of a night that ends in a shootout in a way that makes it feel so cinematic. Every description of each person involved is so detailed, particularly his verse about pigeon-toed Tyler. So for instance, this is his description. He bantam weight, frontin' majorly, eyes like Sammy Davis Jr., rounded off with the fade G. He sport the Bob Hope classic, ran down Asics, Kmart, the short sleeve shit be the basics. Now, this was a moment for all of us because it was a time when Kmart used to have like a clothing line called Basic Edition. So that was one that, that was another one that got me up out of my seat. But all throughout this song, he has such vivid descriptions of everybody that's involved. Another one, this is like the most infamous line. Yo, I sham punched Mason in his face over some bullshit the other night. They kidnapped his brother, poking him with knives. It's raining, 85 degrees, kind of ugly. One of those nights you throw on a face that's real ugly. Listen, he set the scene. Those nights where the humidity is so bad, when you walk from the AC to outside, it almost, startles you. And with that verse, he really sets the scene for the rest of the story about the subsequent shootout. Out comes the cannon, whistled out, zagging. Really just told us a story in great detail. So Malcolm is by far one of my favorite songs. This is the song that I probably should have led with when I was introducing people to this album. Now I'm going to stack my powders, as Jaleesa would say, with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrushed powder. This is another tip. Jaleesa said you want to put the pressed powder even over top of the bronzer because that will keep the powder bronzer from looking streaky when you go to apply it. So Child's Play also was another one of those songs that I love from off this album. Now I felt like this was a deep cut that just did not get enough love from everybody, and it's a really nice ode to childhood, especially like childhood crushes. And my favorite part of this song is the last verse because it literally is just a rundown of childhood, all the things associated with childhood. Nice unsung hero on this album, at least to me. So the next step in the toasted makeup technique is to apply powder bronzer where you had your cream bronzer. So I'm going to use the Juvia's Place bronzer in the shade Dark, and I just go between these two shades and fluff around. All right, here we go. I like this brush. And again, not taking it any further than to the eye. Another song that I love from off of here, and I'll say this one was the most popular, and that is Cherchez La Ghost. I remember this song getting so much love in the club. Video for this was so on brand for the time. Ghost had some of the most luxurious looking robes. Like, I know in Apollo Kids he had nice robes in that one, but the robes he wore in this were like extra plush, extra luxurious. He had this red, white, and blue striped robe, and another like apple green robe. Loved this video. And I'm gonna put a little blush on, just a smidge. Nothing too crazy because I feel like I'm missing it. And I'm going to use the Pat McGrath blush. There we go. Not much. Blend that in here. Woo Banger is another one that I don't think gets a lot of love either. This one had verses from GZA, Capadonna, Master Killer, and Raekwon. It wasn't a bad verse on this song, and it was good to hear that many of the members on a song together. This was like another one, another deep cut that I feel like didn't get all the love that it deserved. Okay, just a little blush. I needed that. But yeah, I like the toasted makeup technique. I'm going to go in and put eyeshadow in my lash line. I forgot to do that. I'm going to smudge under here using that same black that we used before. I'm going to melt all of my makeup together, bring everything back to skin using the MAC Fix Plus setting spray. Just spray this here onto my puff. I don't spray my eyes directly because lash extensions, and just kind of, I love this part because I do not like looking extremely matte. Alright, and then now I am going to let this dry down. The last step in the toasted makeup technique is to put a little highlighter on the cheek. I'm going to use the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Low Lighter. This is in the shade Off the Grid. This is one of my favorites. Alright, so I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I like how the low lighter ended up coming out. Supreme Clientele is an album that I still consider a classic 25 years later. Personally, I rank it as Ghost's best album. Let me know, have you had a chance to give it a re-listen, and do you still love it today as much as the first time that you heard it? Let me know in the comments. Alright, Saints and Aints, it's time for my favorite part of my makeup routine, the lip combo. I'm going to line my lips using the NYX Line Loud pencil, and this is in the shade No Wine. And on the gloss, I'm going to use Fenty gloss bombs and some stunner paint. So let's jump into it. Before I do my lip combo, I like to put a little setting powder on my lip. That'll help set the powder and then also absorb any excess oil. Now, of course, y'all know I don't like a harsh line, so I'm going to smudge this out. Alright, so we got that all smudged out. I like how that looks. Very nice. Alright, so next is going to be I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. This is in the shade Riri. I'm going to add a little bit of the Fenty Stunner Paint. Give like a little, this is in the shade Unbutton. Just put like a little bit in the middle. Go back and line over top of this, or line my liner using Juvia's Place Gloss in the shade Maroon. Matter of fact, let me get a brush because this doe foot is a lot bigger. This doe foot is a lot bigger than like the one from NYX, so I can't really just go around. So I'm just going to scoop a little bit off the applicator here and then just kind of go around. Alright, Saints and Aints, this is the final look. I like this cute little Valentine's Day look. I had a wonderful time discussing Supreme Clientele and celebrating its 25th anniversary. If you have not listened to this album, or if you want to give it a re-listen, I do have it tagged down in the description box, along with all of the makeup that was used today. Make sure you like this video and subscribe for more in music and makeup. That's my time, Saints and Aints. Till next time, love you, bye.